I'd like to call the regular council meeting for the town of Bay-Westfield on Monday, June 24th, 2024 to order at 7:00 p.m. We respectfully acknowledge that Bay-Westfield exists on the traditional Woolstook land. The lands of Wabanaki people are recognized in a series of peace and friendship treaties to establish an ongoing relationship of peace, friendship, and mutual respect between equal nations. The river that runs by our town is known as Woolstook, along which live Woolstook-Way, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We, the staff and elected representatives, pay respect to the elders past and present and descendants of this land. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I would like to welcome all of the 2024 Community Grant recipients here in our chambers tonight. We are thrilled to have you, and we are very thankful that we have people like you that strive and work to make our community a better place. So thank you for being here, and thank you for doing all that you do. I'd also like to extend a special congratulations to all of the graduates of the class of 2024. This is always an exciting time for everybody. It was an especially exciting time for me because I did have a graduate this year. And I hope for parents and for graduates and students all around that your graduating week was wonderful. You should all be proud of how far you've come, and I can't wait to see where you'll go. Item 4, record of attendance. Let the record reflect we have a full attendance of council here tonight. Thank you. Item 5, agenda approval. The motion is the council of the town of Bay-Westfield approve the agenda of June 24th, 2024 as presented. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Berkey.
We amend the agenda to 15.1 regarding infiltration and flow expenditure.
Under business arising from committee of the whole.
That's right.
Councillor Berkey, are you fine with that amendment? I have a second. Councillor Bailman, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 6, disclosure of conflict of interest. Is there any? There being none, we'll move on to item 7, public hearings, presentations, delegations, petitions. And item 7A is presentation of community grant checks to 2024 spring recipients. And I'm very pleased to be able to present these checks to each of these wonderful community groups, and I'll call each one of you up to present you with your envelope. So the first one is the 2024 Graduation Banners Committee. The use of the funds is the 2024 Graduation Banners Project in the amount of $850. To come up and get your envelope. Krista. Talking in class. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for all the work that you've done with that. It's so fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our second recipient is Inglewood School for the outdoor volleyball court project in the amount of $800. And who do we have here today? Wonderful. Thank you very much. You're welcome. I can't wait to see it. Thanks. Our third one is the River Valley Coins Association for the Unity Park Coin Project in the amount of $300. And we have, and it's Corey Ryan. Thank you, Corey. Appreciate it. Thanks. Our next one is River Valley Middle School for the soccer field seating project in the amount of $900. Kids. Oh. We can all come up.
You're home school.
There we go. Are you going to be making maple syrup with the seating?
Definitely will.
Famous for that. River Valley Middle School Home and School Ball Hockey Court Project for $900. Oh, look over there. I love it when a crowd shows up. There you go. Congratulations. Thank you, everybody. Absolutely. Shake your hand first. Do you want to do it right in front of here? Just if you don't mind. I don't mind at all. Thank you. Our next one is the Royal Canadian Legion Bayview Branch 22, the Veterans Banner Project for $500. Shake your hand again, Corey. Thank you for all the work you do for the community. We really appreciate it. Then we have the St. Augustine's Garden Committee for the Memorial Garden Project for $850. There you go. I'm going to have to stop by and see how you're doing with the project. Yes. Yes, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And the last one is Westfield and Inglewood Schools Soapbox Derby Project for $900. Yeah. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right. So thank you everybody. It's very quiet. Right, we'll move on to item 8, minutes of previous meeting. 8A, regular council minutes of May 27th, 2024. The motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield adopt the minutes of the regular meeting of May 27th, 2024 as presented. Do I have a motion? Councilor Balcom, thank you. Do I have a second? Councilor McIntosh Lawrence, thanks. Any questions or comments on the motion? Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 9, unfinished business. There being none. Item 10, bylaws. Thankfully none. We'll move on to item 11, new business recommendations. Snow removal and ice control is item 11A, and I will pass that over to the CAO for comment.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this is an update based on lessons learned. If Council recalls, all the way back in May, the Works Commissioner provided a presentation on lessons learned, and he's incorporated those into the snow and ice control plan. I'm going to turn it over to him to speak to the changes that he's proposing.
Yes, thank you. Yes, so the snow and ice plan, again, lessons learned, it's an annual thing that needs to come every year. We'll keep on learning. There's no end to that. So with this, again, the changes from the plan that we're proposing are mainly, I'll say, cosmetic, but they're more for content. Is priority 1 streets before just referenced ski bill, but now we just are looking to add the word extreme in that, just to kind of make it more than it's more than a hill. It's a ski hill, making it a priority 1. So just more again on content. Another section on, again, priority 1 is there's I guess a factor in there or a condition that we don't always meet what we were trying to achieve with our times and our focuses to get the road service. But a lot of that, again, the explanation is sometimes there's weather events that aren't just easy snow, and there's problems that arise to that. So again, it's more on the expectation that when we get a freezing rain event, it's different than a snow event, right? So just more. So there's really no change to the plan other than context and understanding. Is that when you look at the plan, but you're looking to proceed with that. A new one that I'm proposing is for gravel roads, and it's not new other than separating it in the plan. Is gravel roads still fall under the category of local roads? So I'm looking to separate, I guess, local roads paved and local roads to gravel. Because again, we are trying, our plan sort of calls for straight salt. But on gravel roads, and what we've learned this year is they need more of a sand salt mix, which is the exception to the rule of just using salt. But the after service level, the conditions are everything the same, it's just really the product that's going to be applied to the street. So and again with that, I was looking to do like a separation. But still, like a local road, the one we paint and one asphalt. So that's what we're proposing on that and with the new plan going forward. And then there's another section under there in the plan that when there's a council motion or special condition is to add that to the plan. And that's what on page 49, appendix I, is a special condition which council passed the motion December of last year. So just incorporating it as like a record as to the motion that council made for widening the shoulders. So overall, the plan functioned well. These are just small little tweaks to get us going. And again, last year was our first year, so that was good. We're still learning, and again, we're going to continue on every year. We'll learn more and bring the updates and proposals before us of what we're going to do to improve and give ourselves a good service.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm going to open the floor to questions or comments from council. Anybody have any questions for the Works Commissioner?
I would just, I think I'm not understanding it. For the priority 3 and priority 4, paved or gravel, the first sentence says local streets are plowed after 8 centimeters, but then 3.1, 4.1 say plow after 15 centimeters. I'm just wondering what the 15 centimeters is.
I'll say that's a typo. They both should be the same for level 3, for priority 3, they should be 8. So my apologies on that.
Just for council's information, there's a lot of dialogue about, do we keep it at the same or do we reduce the level so that there's more success? And talking with the mayor, because we hadn't really landed anywhere, we decided to go back to 8, and that was just an oversight on the Works Commission.
Oh, okay.
So the standard is 8.
Okay, I thought maybe gravel was different.
Yeah, no, that was, my apologies.
Councilor Balance?
Go back to the snow, there's different types of snow you're dealing with, like there's high freezing rain snow, so 8 centimeters of that is different than literally white stuff. So how do you deal with that then, like the heavy stuff, and the ice and snow is like, it's like honeycomb, so what's the difference?
Well, there really is no difference to that in the service level, because we'll go through and plow, and again, with that would be a weather event that continuously snows, whether it's wet or whatever, but it continues. And the example of what that's in there is when there's a temperature change, is that affects everything immediately, like when there's a freezing rain event, it was freezing rain on every street all at the same time. And again, if there's like a weather event where it snows, whether it's wet snow or heavy snow, we just plow accordingly. And again, it may take longer with the wet snow, because again, you plow equipment, but again, the process will still be the same. Except when it's like, as I said, an example, if it's freezing rain all over the place, and it all happens within 15, feet.
Yeah.
So it's, you can't really plow it.
No,
That's runs in 12 or less. But as for like wet snow, it will just continue to plow.
We have any other questions for the Works Commissioner? I do have a few. So thank you for clarifying the gravel road priority 4, because I wasn't certain whether that indicated a different level of service for gravel roads, and it doesn't technically, it's just a different type of application
Correct.
of sand and salt versus sand, so
Correct.
that was an important clarification.
I was just gonna say, we did toy around with 3L and 3G, I think it was, and greater priority if it was separate, because it is a distinct operation from the paved version.
Right, and I would sort of suggest that, because priority 4 sort of indicates that it's a lower priority than priority 3, it may confuse residents if they're reading snow and ice plan online. So it was a question that I did have. So, and sort of building on Councillor Bailman's question, how are we preparing for more of those ice events in the 24-25 season, like the ones we experienced this past winter, which are really difficult to deal with and really hard on the equipment, but it's a reality that we're gonna be facing this winter and probably more winters in the future. Are we doing anything differently to prepare for those?
To prepare indifferently, no. But to prepare differently, yes, because we're getting experienced. And a lot of this, and again, as it says over on the plan, is, it's the right material at the right time, in the right amount. And that's the experience part that we're gathering, that with weather events, is to be out there at the right time, and put the right material down. So the process, again, will be the same, but with our experience that we're learning, we'll get there at the right time. with the right material.
And just to build on what the Works Commissioner said, we've had internal dialogues about a brine tank. However, we have limited money. I don't recall what priority it is, but I think it's coming up for capital discussions.
It is on the list.
Yeah, so that may change how we address some of those issues, because brine has a much more significant role in ensuring the safety of the roads than just straight slide. And especially at those shoulder temperatures.
Right,
and that was one of the questions that I had, because I knew there had been discussions about the grinding tank, and I didn't see it reflected in the plan, but that's because it's for ongoing capital.
Correct.
Yeah, and just for council's information, we had talked about including it in the plan, but then what that does is as you weigh up the pros and cons of investing in this capital item or the other, all of a sudden, I'm just gonna use the X dollar of 30, I don't remember the cost of the brine tank, but it's $30,000. That's $30,000 that we can't touch. So we'd much rather have it in play for council, because I don't think it's a must-have for the works department. But it just frees up council's ability to, pardon the expression, do the horse trading around capital. What's important, especially at this part of the cycle of the council term.
And just let me add on to that, and again, as part of the learning process, Brian is a whole different operation in itself, and we're still learning how to just work with the granular salt. And so again, we're learning both areas, that's where we go.
I had another question about page 4 and the definition of the extreme when it comes to the hills. How is that defined? And I don't want to be too prescriptive, but when something's too open to interpretation, you can run into trouble. Are we going to define what extreme means when it comes to inclines on hills?
We are not looking at this, but that's not to say that we can't, but we haven't put a number or a definition to that. And I guess the purpose that I was looking at for putting the word extreme was to make it beyond a normal hill. And then we have some local examples, Park and Valley and Beverly Hills, like we know that those are extreme hills. But smaller ones, is that a hill, is that extreme? And I guess it's more of a perception.
Right, and that's why I'm wondering if defining whether it's a degree or.
I think maybe the better route to go on, and the commissioner and I talked about it a little bit, is actually putting in those streets that are extreme, like he just rattled off 3 or 4. Maybe that's something we could add to the plan as extreme, including June and Valley View, I forgot the ones.
Well, and they are already in the plan for priority ones, like they're already there. Where that came from, an example, like last year, a person called and said, I'm on a hill. Well, it wasn't one of those hills, but it's a hill.
Right.
Yeah.
I just know that when a term is open to interpretation, it can lead to trouble down the road.
Yeah.
So, thank you. On page 49, with the pull-off room for trains, that's great. Council's been talking about doing, making sure that there's some pull-off room for school bus stops now for a couple of years. I didn't see it reflected in the plan. Are we, I don't know if council is still supportive of that, because it would increase the level of service, but it has been a safety issue that council has discussed on more than one occasion.
Okay, no, that was not in the plan. Again, as to where a specific spot would be, and I guess, if the road is good, that's where the bus stops. Usually don't pull off, they're on the road. So we have the roads satisfactory for roads.
We had talked about making a divot, because a lot of once the snowbanks build up, the kids are standing literally on the road
Just
waiting.
clarification, it's more about standing space for the students, less a pullover space for the bus.
Yes, it's about when the children are standing waiting for the bus. So I don't know if
So,
council remembers
just
these
for
discussions.
Council's information, it took us 3 tries to get the information about where the bus stops are in town. I finally had to go above, and that, we only received that in the last 3 or 4 weeks, I think, didn't we? But anyways, it's only been recently we got that information.
And again, I guess what that is, we don't have anything in the plan on that specifically. And again, in previous years, it was contractors, but now we're us. And again, we're always widening roads this year. Not to widen too much, but again, that was part of our policy in there for widening things and then they get hit off. So we do plan on widening and doing that as a constant practice.
But just a reminder to council, because we ran into this last year, we had narrow streets this year because the ground didn't freeze properly. And if we plow unfrozen ground, there's going to be a lot of upset people because we wrecked their yard. So just, maybe for our communications manager, we need to be mindful of ensuring that when we have these shoulder type temperatures, We're not widening the road to the full extent just because it's gonna cause a lot of damage, and we don't wanna do that.
And that would be some good education for our residents to understand why the plow isn't doing the full road, because we don't wanna destroy their lawns on either side. So we did that. I have one more question. No, actually, that was the last question, education regarding widening the road, so, thank you. Councillor
When
Bellins?
widening my pull-offs to cross train tracks, I've noticed the trains are longer now and cars are building up on the side of the road, so people can go around like off by Stark Eastbury, they park with 25 cars long, so that portion like on the side of the road, are we gonna allow more, same as you do for bus stops?
Well, that was a motion of council
Yeah,
last year.
you're gonna make more room for it, because more trains are 5 minutes long and the cars are building up, so.
So just a question for council, the extra widening that the Works Department did for those intersections.
Yeah.
Was it long enough? Did council hear anything that the space was too short?
I didn't hear anything.
The trains are getting longer, so.
No, the question was, did we have enough space for the cars?
Yes, I think cars are backing up, so there'll be 25, 30 cars sometimes, the train is so long now, 150 cars and waiting, people start at a certain time of day, around 5 o'clock, if a train goes by, there's a long.
But that's what I'm asking council. Were they long enough last year?
There wasn't a huge amount of snow last year, so
Yeah.
it's hard to,
Yeah.
hard to gauge. I didn't hear anything negative about
I
it.
heard feedback, yeah.
And again, just again, on the widening component, is going forward, is now it's in-house. And before the contractor widening may have been a thing, but you know, when the storms stop, your guys are in tomorrow, widen, like we're not be doing widening, which is why we talked about mailbox and things like that. So the new operation will automatically widen as we go through. Compared to the years back with the contractor where that was an extra, and that was in-house. Service should be like, gold.
Sorry, I'd like to recommend to council that allow the Works Commissioner to clean up, incorporate steep hills. And there's some typos in there, and then we'll bring it back for approval on the 8th of July. You're on holidays after that, right?
All of the days, back to you.
Oh, you're off holidays next week.
Yeah.
So can we bring it back in August? And we'll have those things, guys.
Is that acceptable?
That sounds
Do
good,
we need a motion for that?
No, I will just table it to, I don't remember the date. We'll just table it till the August.
Is that acceptable to council?
Table August.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move on to item 11B, public art policy. And John, want me to speak to this item?
Thank you, Your Worship. We had an inquiry from someone who'd like to paint a bird or something on one of our fences going around the lift station. And you know, and we don't have a public art policy. We've installed sculptures, but we don't have a public art policy. So we're just trying to fill in the gap here. And we also have a terms of reference for the committee. Basically, we just want to encourage the integration of public art into public spaces. We want to support local artists, such as the woman who would like to paint the fence. We want to make Grand Bay-Westfield visually appealing. We want to promote community engagement and pride. You know, these are important things. And finally, we want to ensure appropriate, consistent management of public art projects. Now, management sometimes seems like a bad word, especially around art. But all we're looking for is somebody wants to install something. It could be a mural or something like that. Well, how much does it cost to keep it looking fresh? What's the life cycle of the installation? What does the Works Department or the Parks Department have to do on an ongoing basis to ensure that it looks good? We would like to understand what the ongoing cost is. So we're not saying no, just don't do it, and then we have to figure it out as we go along what it takes to keep it looking good. There's nothing worse than having public art that looks bad. So that's all we're trying to do here. And then finally, there's no point in having a public art policy without community people looking at what's appropriate and providing governance. There's one, a community standard, which we have not tried to define, but just what should go up or not. Then finally, funding it. I didn't have time to write a policy, but we have another policy gap that became apparent around this, and that is, what do we do with development fees? What do we do with the money from that we may collect from public assets, as an example? We don't have a clear policy around that. So in my former community, 50% went for future growth. So that would be for extending infrastructure, as an example, or increasing capacity of infrastructure. 50% would go to recreation, and that could be playground installations. It could be walking, putting asphalt on walking trails as two examples. So what we're suggesting here is that recreation, when we bring the policy forward, 50% goes to recreation, and then 10% of that 50% would go towards public art, either the purchase of, primarily around the purchase and installation of public art. But that'll be a policy that will likely come before council in August or September.
Thank you, John. Does anybody have any questions?
Is she donating the yard, or is she doing?
We don't know.
We also say, what's our job? We put the yard up, or if she wants to put free, or put a plywood sheet up, or space on it. Big, say, closets get out in 2 years. It does look up to our standards.
Yeah, and that's a council decision. If somebody comes forward and says, I want to do this, do we want to pay for it?
No.
Some of it can be really expensive.
Yeah.
Some of it, painting a bird on the side of the fence may not be as expensive. But these will be questions that will have to be addressed on an ongoing basis. Do we want to identify a threshold? And some of these are best done by, they're suggesting this, where do we draw the limit? We haven't done that here. But I think there's definitely room for this policy to mature. I know I looked at a couple of others. Frankly, I like ours better, Your Worship. I'm biased. But anyways, so those will be, we've asked questions around costing. Right now, we have no budget, so people may want to either, fund it themselves or, come to council and say, can you reallocate money?
And this is an intentional approach to public art, which is important, and making sure that we have a process to determine what is the best public art for our community spaces and for our community, and also how to fund it without having to take it out of property tax.
Maybe another question. Could she put it on a mural already ahead of time to show council what she wants to put on the fence, or I don't know, have a.
All we're asking for, it's the committee.
Yeah.
They can either have someone come in and just talk about what they want to do, or sketch it out on a pad, the concept. About what it wants, but I would highly recommend that there should be some type of concept that's presented to the committee so they can see what it is.
But if you want to come to council, maybe to give us an idea, maybe come to council and talk to us about that.
So just for clarification, council would form the committee for the time being, and then we recruit members from the public to sit on that committee. And they would be chaired by community vitality. I think you need more boards to chair. Yeah.
Yeah, so there would be a full approval process through the public art committee, but I like this because it's not ad hoc, we're planning for public art for the future. And we also have a process for planning and development of public art that will fit the needs of the community. Any other questions for John on policy? So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield adopt the public art policy. Do I have a motion? Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, and that was a second from the Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. 11C, Route 102 signage, and we'll pass again this over to the CAO.
So council recalls we received funding for signs, and the discussion, I'm going to say for about a year now, if I'm not wrong, as to what do we do with the sign on Route 102 as you enter the town from the east. So we looked at moving it to two potential other locations. They're both problematic. Further, where the sign's currently located, it's in good condition. So what we're recommending is that the council leave the sign where it is. It's on the list to be refreshed with our new branding. If the councilors recommend, we would be replacing signs on an ongoing basis. This one is up, and so before we refresh it, we want to make sure council's okay with it being inside our town limit rather than on the boundary of the town limits. And functionally, you know, when you cross the causeway, it really is, we don't have any homes there. But anyways, yeah, so we're just suggesting this one for cost and then for safety issues at the other two locations.
Thank you, John. Does anybody have any questions for the CAO on the side?
The motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield approve the current location of the sign. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councillor Balcom, thank you. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item D, street capital. And John, over to you.
Thank you, Your Worship. I hope council realized that this is actually a good news report. We saved a lot of money and came in well under budget. So anyways, having said that, this is for the work. This is the amended work because back when we did this originally, we were told not to count on CCDF funding, which was just announced on Friday, I think it was. So one, good news for saving money, and two, we'd like to go ahead with this project.
It's not very much. Often what I hear that something came in under budget, particularly when it comes to any sort of street or asphalt job.
Good
And-
job.
Any questions for the CAO or the Works Commissioner?
Right, the motion is that the council of the town of Bay-Westfield award the 2024 capital street improvements and designated highway improvements tender to Galbraith Construction for $351,290, including HST. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bellman, thank you. And it was a second from Deputy Mayor Toole, thank you. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. And before we move on, if you could just remind anybody that's watching exactly what street this job is going to be going on.
I'm trying to blank all of a sudden, sorry.
Yes, and again, earlier with this here, it was discussed that both of these jobs would involve curb and gutter, which is why the street, Valley View Drive, the upper portion, we're looking to curb on that. And then there's a piece on designated highway or Route 177 Narrows Road, in front of Unity Park, that's gonna be curbed. So again, we put those together so it'll be a larger curbing project, which may help in the discussion on that. So again, with that is we're looking to put in concrete curb in Valley View Drive from the top, excuse me, down, I'll say towards 30 Valley View Drive, that Bodell area, down to there. No curve from there for now, but it's banked in from there. And then it'll be curved from the guardrail on there, goes up to on that road return. That's actually across the park, will be curved as
Thank you, Commissioner. Just a reminder for anyone that's watching, they'll like to know when the road work's gonna be happening and where. So we'll move on to item 11E, PAC subdivision land for public purposes, Martin Pelletier. Again, John.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm going to turn it over to the development officer who's been working this file. Yeah, turn it over.
This is it's a simple subdivision, it's a type 1 subdivision under the bylaw that only deals with creating the lot, not an extension of a street. So that anything that is being dealt with is left for public purposes. It was a single lot on Thompson Road, which had width to it. They took the house down and they're creating a new separate lot. So the land for public purposes is part of that new lot.
Thank you. Any questions for the development officer?
Good news. more land, more houses, so.
Right, more densification where there are already services is a good thing. The motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive the recommendation from the planning advisory committee to accept $1,309.04 as money in lieu of land for public purposes for the creation of one new building lot out of PID number 217414 on Thompson Road. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Malcolm. Is that second from Councillor Bellman? Thank you. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 11F, annual report. I'll turn this over to the CAO.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is a legislative requirement. It has to be submitted by June 30th. This report has been greatly overhauled over the last few years. And all we've been doing is basically tweaking this right now. For council's information, this report's format is going to stay largely the same for the duration of this council, starting probably in the 26th annual report, which would be in 27. The communications manager and I have been looking at what other municipalities do across the country, and we'll do an overhaul then so that council has its own annual report identity. Just a reminder too, we do look at this annual report as a marketing tool as to the things that the town does, not just internally to our residents or to comply with regulations, but also developers, builders, and people like that. So it's all been tweaked, filled in. The big one is the addition of Councillor Kerry Burkey and the integration of Ward 2 into the system. Is there anything else?
No, I'm gonna have everything go.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to commend the communication officer on, manager on how the improvements that I've seen to the annual report. It's a great document. Every time I read it, I learn something new, and I live and breathe this stuff, so it's great. So thank you for that. Any questions before I move to the motion?
So no, I was just going to say to council that this is a team effort. This is the first year where I've been pretty much hands off it since I've been here. But when you look at our finance, our CFO, the works commissioner, development, they all contribute to it. This is a team effort. This is the first year where I really haven't played a large role in this. So.
Yeah, kudos to the team. It's a great document. So the motion is that the council of the town of Grand Bay-Westfield receive and file the report, and that the report be made available for Local Governance Act 2017, Section 105 and Regulation 2018-54 on www.grandbaywestfield.ca and at the town office. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Burkey. Any further questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor?
Aye.
Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 11G, Town Education Bursary Draw. Well, this is like a big night. We had the community grant people in, and we get to draw the bursary. This is very exciting. Okay.
Well, the mayor's drawing, we didn't have any applications for the MBCC fund. This is only the UMBSJ fund.
So a question about that, does that stay open or does that stay closed? Do we continue to advertise
We were just gonna carry it over to next
to
year.
next year?
Council can make a resolution that we extend it for 2 weeks. Yeah, we can extend it for 2 weeks, council wants. I like the resolution.
Does somebody want to make a motion to that effect? We have a motion from Deputy Mayor Aaron Toole to extend the deadline for the community college bursary to be extended for an additional 2 weeks. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on that motion? Being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion,
2 weeks we're gonna take functionally, that'll be ready for council on the 8th.
okay, thank you.
We'll just advertise that.
That's right, yeah. Okay, so are we ready for the name? So the UMBSJ Town of Grand Bay-Westfield bursary goes to Jethro Wilson, Bachelor of Science Program at UNB. So congratulations, Jethro. That's really good. So the motion then is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield award the UNB SJ bursary to Jethro Wilson and invite Mr. Wilson to attend the next meeting of council. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Deputy Mayor Toole. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Burpee. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. Item 12, bills for payment. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the June 24th, 2024 bills for payment as presented in the amount for $491,528.94. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Murphy. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor McIntosh Lawrence. Any questions or comments on the motion? Councillor Billings?
Number 3, repair fluid leak, $14,183.33. What's that for?
This one, actually, I think this is the one that goes back to January or February, and we just got the invoice. It was sort of one thing after another. We did get a discount of 12 or 14.
We did get a discount, probably in the, I'll say thousands. But it ended up just the food changes and again, locations of our backup. So with that, the parts were 7,000 and labor was 13. Again, the back when everything is underneath the can, like it's location.
Thank you.
There isn't a $200 repair.
I know, I just said for fluid leak, I said fluid leak, I said, wow, it's a regular leak.
Councillor McIntosh Lawrence?
I have a couple. Number 22, $932 from Chandler for paper towel and garbage bags.
Just a reminder to council that we just kind of capture the first two things. But this is for those type of supplies, plus other supplies for the Centrum, the River Center, and the Lions.
From Chandler?
Yeah. We buy stuff from various sources typically.
45 outlets at Unity Park in the track for $1,900 from Fused Electric. So is this an annual check or? Is it
Yeah, it's multiple items. I'm gonna ask the director.
Yes, Your Worship, that's for a number of different items that were done. One of them was the outlets for the track, that was a small portion of that bill. The largest portion of that bill was actually the outside lights at the Burns Point River Center. We had a number of them out, so we changed them from the old solar lights to LED lights. That was where the majority of the cost was, but you're seeing one supplier on the bill. It's actually not.
And is the town responsible for the track ones?
Yes, so the lights at the track are the town's responsibility, and the outlets, the track itself and the soccer field are the responsibility of the school district.
Okay, 118, the flower baskets, $3,000. So is this just for the baskets and their maintenance, or is this maintenance of other
This
flower
is
beds?
2 invoices. And it's for baskets and maintenance. And that's the River Center grounds. So I think I've been pretty consistent with council when it comes to high profile locations like the town hall, the River Center. Shades of Green are doing that. We do not have that type of skill set in our works department. And we're really a little bit too small to do that type of stuff. You know, it's our students who do the lawn cutting and things like that. It's our small team. What do we have, 7 in the works department?
6 outside, 1 inside.
Yeah, so we have a small group.
And
But
did
that
they-
high profile location, it's important for it to look good, so it has to be done by other people.
And do they water the flowering baskets, or do we do that?
Some of them are self-watering, some of them are baskets that we do. I think we estimated that if we were to do it on weekends, it's gonna be what, $4,000? I forgot.
Yeah, well, the ones that the river, the matches that are hanging, they're self-watering, but the ones out on the ground.
And the ones hanging on the street?
There's a self-watering system on that.
Okay, and that's adequate, gives them enough water?
Yes.
The last one, I think I've asked this one before, 131, the tennis nets. $230. Was that gonna come in-house for us to put those?
Yeah, so that was done in April, on the shoulder season. Our crews were busy with the equipment, and it was weather that we could put the nets up. But in the fall, the plan is for the works department to take them down, and in the spring, the works department to put them up.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 13, consent agenda. 13A, local governance commission proclamation. B, building report, monthly report May. C, fire rescue monthly report May. D, email train noise. E, RBCC AGM package. F, letter thank you pro kids. G, funding request Girl Guide Rally Day. H, funding request St. John Regional Hospital. I, PAC meeting minutes April 2nd, 2024. J, letter DTI GNB 2025 PMHP and consent agenda. The motion is that the Council of the Town of Bay-Westfield receive and file the consent agenda items for June 24th, 2024. Do I have a motion? Thank you, Councillor Bailmans. We have a second. Thank you, Councillor Balcom. Any questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. Thank you. We'll move on to council reports, and we'll start with Councillor Day today.
I have nothing really to report. I've attended some things, I'm trying to think of, it's been so long. But I will congratulate all the graduates, and it's nice to see the banners up, and I'm not gonna say too much more because I'm like everybody else, watching the clock for the Oilers game tonight.
Trying to get us out of here in time. Councillor Bill.
Oh, we attended the bike rodeo with Councillor Dalton, Lawrence, Deputy Mayor, the duel, and it was a good turnout. And nice. We sold a lot of hamburgers and hot dogs.
The price was right.
Yeah, so and I attended a ProKids meeting last Wednesday. We had a good meeting about restructuring stuff going on, so positive things. And not coming, the Drosling Golf Tournament coming to like July 13th coming, so it'll be a good event to get more money for ProKids. So, and I attended the Dr. Scott retirement party, so that was a good turnout. And a lot of good people there. And sad to see him go. He's my doctor. I was happy to see him go, but I was sad to see him go too. So vice versa. So other than that, that's all for me.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Burpee.
Thank you, Your Worship. June 3rd, I attended, as well as the mayor, the Inglewood School Lunch. So that was prepared by, served by the kids. They were very proud to do that, so that was fun thing to go to. June 13th, the Envision St. John AGM, where they, with the introduction of the new chairperson, which is Fraser Wells. Also, last week, it was my last day with my mentee at the PALS program. This was time very well spent, so if anybody watching has an hour a week to share, it makes a big difference in youth that could use some one-on-one time. And also just a reminder of the Brundage Point Market. There's lots of great vendors there and really, really good pizza. And also like to say congratulations to Dr. Scott and all the grads of 2024. That's it for me.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Toole.
Thank you. First thing was a great thing, it was right after the last meeting, but I won't talk too much about it because it was put on by Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, the staff appreciation event here, which was lovely, so I mentioned that. I was also able to attend in late May the Envision St. John Year Review update, which was really good. As well, I had the honor, because the mayor was away for a few events, so I was able to attend for the flag raising for Champions Week early in June, which was lovely at the Peace Park. And also bike rodeo, which was mentioned by Councillor Bailmans, which was a lot of fun. And I think there was 60 kids or 45. It was a huge turnout, so it was great. And the RCB was there. I was proven wrong because it started early, around 5 to 7. I was like, who's going to get there at 5? Everybody was there at 5. It was a lineup. So it was really great to see. I enjoyed it. We started that a few years ago. I know Councillor McIntosh Lawrence and the RCMP had worked on it, and was sparsely attended at first, but now it seems to be really well attended, so that is important. The kids had a really good time. And last thing, I was able to attend on Friday night, the opening, to say a few remarks on behalf of the town, to welcome all the teams for the East Coast Games Riptide Cup lacrosse tournament at RBCC. And I don't know if a lot of people knew that was going on, but I think once they saw the town's posts, they realized and were able to go. But there were 20 teams from Maine, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and PEI. I think age groups from under 11, under 13, under 15, and they might have had under 17, but some really, really good lacrosse action. And that's a huge growing sport in our area, so if that comes again, I'd encourage you to watch it because it's amazing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councilor McIntosh Lawrence.
Thank you. So May 28th, as Deputy Mayor Toole said, we had the staff appreciation barbecue. So that's always a fun time every year. We get to celebrate the staff, and there were a lot of attendees. I think pretty much everyone attended, and I think they enjoyed it. That same evening, I attended the monthly RBCC meeting. The big thing from that was that Chase the Ace has been drawn, and the winner received $100,000, I think. But the RBCC, it was used as a fundraiser, and they took in $37,000. So that's a good news item for them. Also, out of that meeting, we received a grant, $62,000 grant last year for a garden project, and so that's coming to an end. The work on that is finishing the end of this year. So you'll notice that the grounds between the school and RBCC have been, there's benches there now, and gardens there, and a little walkway. And it also funded snowshoes. So that was a great project that's coming to an end this year. May 30th, I had the pleasure of attending the annual cadet ceremonial review. So that was I'd never attended before, so that was a really nice, eye-opening event. And in June 14th, again, was the bike rodeo. That was a fun event. Yeah, I think this year the attendance was probably more than the last 3 years combined. It was really well attended. And the 20th, I attended Dr. Scott's retirement and presented him with a certificate and flowers on behalf of the town. So that was nice. And lastly, on Friday, we just attended a Canada Day, just a finalizing Canada Day meeting, finishing up, putting the final touches on. And so that should be a fun day.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Your Worship. On May the 30th, early in the morning, I attended an Vision St. John presentation breakfast on their year's accomplishments and the year ahead. And later that evening, I also had the pleasure of attending the local Blue Mountain Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps annual, I call it annual inspection, that's what it used to be when I was in cadets. And Your Worship was also there as a reviewing officer, which was very, very nice to see. On June the 3rd, I attended a Planning Advisory Committee meeting. On June the 12th, I attended a TD Station board meeting. I also attended the bike rodeo. It was my first since being a councillor, and it was quite fun actually, and the barbecue was a hot spot for everybody. And I also attended the retirement drop-in for Dr. Scott. Just wonderful, 40 years to the residents of the local community and surrounding areas. And could not convince them to stay longer. And finally, last Wednesday evening, I had the honor of introducing the first Unity Park Summer Stage music performance. It was very well attended. The music was great, but also the weather was fantastic as well. Just enough wind to keep the flies and mosquitoes away. So that's it, Your Worship.
That's perfect. Thank you, Councillor Balcom. And we've all been busy, and I've attended a lot of the same events that you all have. The staff appreciation celebration, it's important to take the time to appreciate the people that keep this machine running, from the roads to the parks to the sewage lagoon to the office. It's important to recognize these people and the hard work they do, making that, again, keep that machine running. And I have to thank Councillor McIntosh Lawrence, who mans the barbecue, which is never the best job, but she does a great job doing it and putting it all together, so thank you for that. I also attended the Envision St. John Year in Review update. It's very informative about where we've been and where we're going as a region. I was thrilled to be named the reviewing officer for the annual ceremonial review of the 3034 Bay-View Grand Bay Blue Mountain Royal Canadian Army Cadet Corps. I was there for the review last year, and they've done a remarkable job in terms of the improvement of the Corps. They've increased the membership. They know what they're doing. It was a wonderful improvement to see, and it's a great program, and it's free for anybody that's interested. I had the honor of opening the 50+ friendship games with some of my regional colleagues, and that was a great week of events and camaraderie for people that were attending and participating. I attended the Inglewood School Appreciation Lunch along with Councillor Bellmans and Councillor Burpee, and that was such a great event. It's one of my favorite things the entire year. The kids work so hard putting the lunch on, and they're so attentive to everybody, and they do this wonderful, each class does a little skit. It's really great. So I know that it's there to appreciate the people that support the school, but I really appreciate the kids and the teachers that put that on. I recently attended the Federation of Canadian Municipalities annual conference and attended a number of really great sessions on a new municipal growth framework, how to reduce greenhouse reductions in buildings, climate risk and vulnerability, climate adaptation, all of those really important things that we have to think about when growing our community for the future, and as well being able to learn from and network with colleagues from all over the country. It's a really valuable conference, and I'm always thankful that I had the opportunity to do that. I attended the Chamber of Commerce annual general meeting where they installed their new president of the board. And then immediately following that, Envision had the Chamber of Commerce event again, where they went into more detail on what's going on in the past, what's going on in the future, what we have to look forward to, and the growth opportunities for the region. The bike rodeo, again, huge success. I couldn't believe how many kids there were. It was fantastic. So kudos to everybody who had a part in putting that together. And Councillor Bellmans did a wonderful job with the barbecue that time. So Councillor McIntosh passed the torch over to Councillor Bellmans. He did a great job. But again, it's really great to see the uptake on that. And I was also skeptical about the starting time, Deputy Mayor, but it was obviously the right time because it was packed even before it started. This past weekend, I was at the Atlantic Mayors Congress, which is a 3-day meeting with mayors from across Atlantic Canada, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, PEI, New Brunswick, and there were many productive sessions and discussions on things that really matter to us here: housing and homelessness, climate adaptation, resiliency, public transportation, cyber security, flood insurance, and much more. So it's an important opportunity to share best practices on common challenges that we face in the Atlantic region, and our region is different from any other region in the country. So it's good to have the perspective of my colleagues from across the Atlantic region. And a highlight of the Congress was the Provincial Housing Ministers panel, which looked at housing from a regional lens, and our own Housing Minister, Minister Jill Green, was there to give New Brunswick perspective on that. And the other big thing that I did was I'm on the provincial government fiscal reform working group, and we had our second official meeting last week. So that work is ongoing. So that's an important update there. And that's a summary of what I've been up to. And with that, we will move on to item 15, business arising from committee of the whole, lagoon capacity. And the motion is that the Council of the Town of Grand Bay-Westfield authorize the CAO to spend up to $65,000 to identify significant infiltrating and inflowing issues in the wastewater system and develop a remediation plan to be incorporated into the 2025 capital budget deliberations. Do I have a motion? Councillor Bellmans, thank you. Do I have a second? Councillor Burpee, thank you. Questions or comments on the motion? There being none, all in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, thank you. Item 16, adjournment.
The motion is that the council of the town of Granby-Westfield adjourn the meeting at 7:59 PM. I have a motion. Thank you, Councilor Murphy, a second. Deputy Mayor Toole. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried, and you're all out of here in time for the game.
Well, there we go.
In time to buy snacks